Hello and welcome to the 19th edition of the Next Man Up podcast. My name is Logan Wortman, and I have got an absolutely loaded episode for you guys today. Going to talk about everything from the All-Star starters being revealed this past week, as well as the MVP race, and even some Defensive Player of the Year talk. We'll even do a little bit of a deep dive into the standings, kind of highlight some different teams that I think, their narrative so far this season is pretty interesting to talk about. Obviously going to spend some time on the Nuggets, being that's the team I watch the most, being a Nuggets fan. So obviously, what else would you expect? But definitely going to share the limelight a bit, spread it around amongst some other teams that I think need to be talked about right now. So yeah, and then hopefully we get to some other fun stuff as well this episode. Kind of a lot to get to, kind of jam-packing this one full of content. I'll try to get to as much as possible. But yeah, so let's just jump into it. So I'm going to start off with the NBA All-Star starters getting announced for both the Western and Eastern Conference. The main issue that people really blew up about was Luka Doncic really getting selected over Damian Lillard. And, the only reason why I kind of think that it's a little bit justified, the backlash from it, is Luka actually got the starter spot over Dame because of the fan vote, because the fan vote was worth 50% of the weight in this decision. As we see here, Luka Doncic got third in both the player and media rank, which both of these categories were worth 25% of the vote. Lillard got second in both of those, but then the fan rank got Luka in second over Dame, which really broke the tie, which really made the difference in putting Luka as the starter over Dame. Luka was even interviewed about this. He kind of, voiced his opinion in that interview, saying that he didn't think he deserved the spot over Lillard just because of team success. He had a similar type of comment when he was interviewed by Stephen A. Smith about the MVP voting or the MVP ladder this year, saying he didn't believe he should be on it because the Mavericks haven't been winning very many games. And, that's pretty admirable of Luka to put Dame first over him. Me personally, if you guys listened to the other episode when I picked the teams, I did put Dame over Luka just because, Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers have been winning substantially, more games than the Mavericks, sitting in the top 5 spots in the West. And, also with lots of injuries going on as well, missing Nurkic as well as McCollum for most of the season. This Portland Trailblazers team has been pretty beat up, and Damian Lillard has been single-handedly winning them a lot of contests. I believe in crunch time in the last 5 minutes of a game, Damian Lillard is leading the league in points and efficiency as well in scoring. Down to the wire in games, Damian Lillard is really the difference maker in the league so far. And the Mavericks have struggled in close games. And, we even saw Portland face Dallas, a couple weeks ago. And Damian Lillard basically just outdueled Luka down the stretch and won them the game. And I really do think that matters coming to this. So, do I like fans having a say, in things in the NBA? I get the thinking behind that. I think it's pretty neat and interesting to have that kind of a wrinkle, but I'd much rather prefer the deserving players getting their accolades, the spots and things that they deserve, such as All-Star games. So I'm much more pro just right decision being made. So I don't really like having the fan vote involved that much. But, marketing-wise, maybe it is a really good decision for the league to get more fan interaction and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it is just a popularity contest, just like Kyrie getting put in here over some other worthy candidates like Jaylen Brown and even James Harden. Kyrie just kind of being the more recognizable name, I would say, to a lot of people. His shoes are very popular, stuff like that is, I think, really why he gets put up here. Bradley Beal leading the league in scoring. But, I think a big part of why he gets up here is also because of the trade rumors, storylines around him this season, him being, candid in interview and sideline and on the sidelines as well, kind of sulking, losing a lot of games with the Wizards, just kind of being in the public eye more so this season. And also coming off the storyline of last year being a snub for the All-Star game. So I think that has a big part to do with it too. It's a lot of narrative and popularity. And it's the All-Star game. So maybe that is just what it should be. But to me, I just feel like it should be the best 5 players in each conference. The best 2 backcourt players, best 3 frontcourt players. So, but yeah, other than that, I think we got really close to that outcome. I think frontcourt wise, we got the best we could have out of both conferences. And I think Steph deserved to be the best guard in the West, and Brad Beal best guard in the East. So it's really just the Luka and Kyrie part of it that I, as well as a lot of fans, disagreed with. But it's not that big of a deal. It's really a lot better than most seasons. Like last year, Trae Young getting the starting spot, I believe, in the East was crazy, especially on top of that, having Bradley Beal not even be an all-star last season was just absolutely ludicrous, which, just shows another kind of weird detail about the all-star game, having the starters have a different criteria for how they get picked versus the bench. The bench is voted on by the coaches who prioritize different things, have a different criteria for who they're going to put on there. So it's not, it's weird. What, like this player, like a certain player like Bradley Beal, who's on a losing team, but is putting up really good stats and playing very well, it has like a better shot of being voted as a starter than even to be put on the bench at all. It's just kind of interesting. If Bradley Beal didn't make the starting lineup this year, I'm sure he probably would have made it on the coach's ballot for the second unit. But yeah, it's just an example, like how it was last year. But just interesting, to say the least. Other than that, there wasn't that much to complain about. Steph got his 7th selection, Luka with his 2nd, LeBron James obviously with his 17th. All these guys, racking up their selections more so. So these other guys that got votes for starting spots in the West, I haven't looked at this yet, so this would be interesting. I just, the name that popped out to me obviously is Carmelo Anthony here at number 10. So that's pretty crazy. Like I said before, it's popularity contest, just best well-known names. Very interesting. He gets put up here. Rudy Gobert, that's honestly, I like that. I like Rudy Gobert being put up here. Christian Wood missed a lot of games, so I wouldn't have put him up here, but that's interesting that he was getting votes. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Paul George, Anthony Davis. And then in the backcourt, there was also getting votes DeMar DeRozan, CJ McCollum, SGA, Chris Paul, John Morant, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. Nothing too crazy there. That all seems pretty reasonable, other than I'd say John Morant, just because of how many games he's missed. But, it is, like I said before, popularity. And he ranked highest. He actually ranked highest in the media over fans even, which is interesting. But players put him at 9. So that's just not really how I would have predicted it. But yeah, and in the East, we got Tatum, Butler, Adebayo, Randall, Sabonis, Jeremy Grant, and Gordon Hayward as the guys getting votes in the Eastern Conference frontcourt, which I'd say that's a lot more stacked than the West. Like Christian Wood and Carmelo Anthony, I think, are both long shots for getting a starting spot. And this one, there's a lot more worthy candidates up here. Jimmy Butler hasn't played very many games at all, but we know who Jimmy Butler is. He showed it on the biggest stage in the world last year in the finals. So, well, not even really last year. That was just a few months ago. And then in the backcourt for the East, we got Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown, Trae Young, Russell Westbrook. So that obviously stands out a little bit for an all-star starter. Doesn't seem like he really should be getting much of a nod, but I guess media has him up here as well. Fan rank was 7th and media rank was 7th. Ben Simmons, who did not do well in the fan vote, it looks like, Fred VanVleet, and Colin Sexton. So, yeah, very interesting. But yeah, not bad at all. And so up next, we got the MVP ladder to talk about. Right here, we got the Kia MVP ladder up in front of me. The official one that is put on NBA.com every year and is updated, throughout the year, I think weekly. So, yeah, I'm guessing we're going to see LeBron at the top of a lot of these lists just because the media, especially this year, has been just wildly pushing the LeBron, year 18 narrative, him playing lots of minutes, stuff like that. But, like I expected when AD first went down, like last week, and it was announced, he's probably going to be out for about a month, I knew that the Lakers are going to start struggling to win games without AD's presence, on that team. It's going to be hard to keep this team afloat. And whether or not LeBron can really do that is really, in my book, going to test his MVP candidacy this season. Lots of talk about just the amount of minutes he's played and stuff like that, which has really been boosted by how many overtime games the Lakers have played this season. LeBron, in my book, definitely up here at the very top, but probably not my number 1. Or just if the season ended right now, I'd probably put Joel Embiid number 1, who I'm guessing is a number 2. Yep, right here. I just think the record of the Sixers in the East being the way it is and Joel Embiid just being the dominant paint presence that he's been on both sides of the floor really has, I think, just been a more impressive resume than LeBron's this season, especially if you look into the advanced stats. Joel Embiid has even more of the clear advantage there, and he's got the team success to rival LeBron. So I think the Sixers' team success will only go up as these coming weeks approach. and the Lakers, I think, will go down a little bit in comparison. So, yeah, but not surprised at all to see LeBron here at the top on the Kia MVP ladder. Joel Embiid here at second. Damian Lillard is here at third, which is, I think this would be basically my order so far with, I'd put Joel Embiid first and LeBron or Dame at number 2. Either one, really. I think that's definitely my top 3, though. I think those are the 3 that really deserve it the most at this point. Right out here, we got Stephen Curry. I like this order. I saw, I think, on the Score and some other articles having Steph even higher than Dame, but I think Dame really deserves that nod just because of the team success aspect of it and his clutch performances. But Stephen Curry, really carrying the Golden State offense to a winning record so far this season, which has been really impressive. So number 5 here, we got Nikola Jokic. I wouldn't change really this order so far other than, flip around Embiid and LeBron. I like this top 5 for the most part. I might kick Jokic out right now just because of the Nuggets team success so far. But I think the team success will continue to go up, and it's been a somewhat small sample size so far. So maybe I would keep him in here. His advanced stats are just ridiculous this season. Really doing a lot, scoring the ball, passing the ball, rebounding, even doing a good job defending, averaging a lot of steals, like right here, 1.6 steals per game. So yeah, a really good season from Jokic so far. I think I might put Giannis up here as well. Maybe even 4th ahead of Steph Curry. I think Giannis has been kind of underrated this season. Like I said last episode, just because of narrative, him winning back-to-back years, the past 2 years, people having, voter fatigue, not wanting to vote for him again. I wouldn't say his case is as good as it has been the last 2 years, but I think he's definitely still worthy of consideration up here in the top 5. So yeah, we got Donovan Mitchell at 6, Giannis at 7, KD at 8, Kawhi at 9, and Harden at 10. Interesting. And then 5 more, I guess it says Jason Tatum, Rudy Gobert, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, and Luka Doncic. I don't know if I love the Donovan Mitchell position. I know, the Jazz have the best record in the league and everything, but it's really hard to pinpoint one contributor on their team that's the most valuable. In my opinion, I might put Rudy Gobert's production and value to the team be a little bit more important than Donovan Mitchell so far, but I can definitely see the argument both ways. They both provide very different things. Even a guy like Mike Conley has been super important. Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, who's probably going to be 6th man of the year, definitely would be the consensus pick so far. They've just been a really good team overall. I think Quinn Snyder is also the leading candidate for Coach of the Year in my book. So just because they're as good as they are doesn't mean you have to put somebody appear in the MVP talk from their team. It could just be because they have a very good team right now and with a lot of really good players. I think people kind of read too much into standings sometimes, where it's like when they're higher, that means they have to have one of the guys off there, which, like I said before, team standings definitely matters a lot, like I was pointing out with Jokic and everything. But you have to be able to connect the dots between the team's record and the player's performance and, compare it to how much that player really does for that, the team's record in comparison to other factors on the team, other variables involved. And with Donovan Mitchell, I just feel like there's a lot of other variables involved with that Utah Jazz team that has a lot to do with their winning beyond just him. So that's where, the definition of the most valuable player kind of comes into play for me, where I don't think Donovan Mitchell probably should be this high, but I don't hate it though. Like, I think it's fun to see Donovan Mitchell on this type of list right now. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I like how James Harden is number 10 on the MVP ladder, and Kyrie is nowhere to be seen, but he gets the starting spot over James Harden for the All-Star game. But, that's just how it goes sometimes. KD hasn't played enough games really for me to start challenging the top 5 right now, but I think he will probably climb back up there when he comes back. He's just been amazing this season. I think he's one of the, if not the best player in the NBA right now. So he very well could climb the ranks in terms of the MVP ladder this season. I kind of want to go see really quick a couple other MVP award or MVP races right now. This is the Basketball Reference, which I'm pretty sure is just based off of statistics and their likelihood of becoming MVP based on the stats and stuff from previous MVP award winners. And it looks like it has Jokic as the most likely in their probability percentage category, just meaning his stats resemble the best MVP candidate when compared to MVP winners of the past. But Joel Embiid is second, and those two are by far the leaders. And see, like I was talking about before, Giannis being really underrated this season, being ranked here at number 3. Kawhi at 4, LeBron at 5, Dame at 6, Gobert at 7, AD at 8, Luka Doncic at 9, and Donovan Mitchell at 10. See, so part of me, just going based off the numbers, maybe this should be more of the list. Obviously, gonna like that a lot more being a Nuggets fan that I am, having Jokic win MVP, but I do think I slide him down a little farther just because of this right here, win-loss column. But yeah, very, very interesting to say the least. I really like looking at this. I haven't spent a lot of time in previous years looking at that, but I think I'm going to look at that a lot more this year to see how well it actually does match up with what's going to be happening at the end of the year, who's actually going to be winning the award and everything like that. So let's look at Yahoo Sports. So Yahoo Sports looks like they got a top 9 right now with Steph Curry at 9, Luka at 8, KD at 7, Giannis at 6, Dame at 5, Kawhi at 4, Jokic at 3, LeBron at 2, and Embiid at 1. There we go. Yeah, we're seeing a media outlet not putting LeBron number 1. I like seeing that just because it shows me that they aren't too caught up in the media storm of pressure of kind of making the narrative happen of you have to vote for LeBron as MVP this season, otherwise you're stupid, basically, is what we've seen from a lot of media, especially like ESPN. So, but yeah, glad to see, Yahoo Sports create a lane of their own, forming their own opinions. On CBS, we got LeBron James as the heavy favorite, but should he be? Interesting. So it looks like, they're showing the leaders in each category of these advanced stats. They're including PER, win shares per 48 minutes, box plus minus, value over replacement player, real plus minus, PIE, Raptor War. Looks like Embiid and Jokic lead every category other than real plus minus, with LeBron leading that one. And he's not even in the top 2 or even 3 on most of these. So when stats bear out, maybe LeBron's candidacy isn't as surefire as the media likes to say it is. But yeah, that'll be enough with MVP. And so in the process of making this episode, the All-Star reserves were actually announced. And so in the Western Conference, looks like we got Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Zion Williamson as a first-time All-Star. I don't really see too many problems here. I think this is basically exactly what I had as my bench, other than I had Dame starting, so Luka was in here instead. And instead of Zion, I think I had DeMar DeRozan. But DeMar was pretty much interchangeable with Devin Booker for me as well. I don't hate Zion Williamson being in the All-Star game. I think it's fun for him to make his first All-Star appearance. He's definitely like an All-Star type of player. I think that, in my opinion, either Booker or DeRozan probably would have been a little bit more deserving by my book. But yeah, no really problems with the West at all. And then in the Eastern Conference, we got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and Nikola Vucevic. And so that's quite different than mine, I think. Yeah, so in the Eastern Conference for me, I had Harden starting instead of on the bench. So that basically flips around Harden and Kyrie for me. And then I had Chris Middleton, who, was he on here? Oh, wow. Chris Middleton is not an All-Star. That's big. That's a big one. I feel like, I don't know how you can convince yourself of that, but that's pretty crazy. I think Chris Middleton definitely deserves to be on here over Randall and definitely Vucevic. I would probably even put him a little higher than LaVine, to be honest with you. That's kind of crazy how that worked out. Surprised that the coaches didn't select Chris Middleton as an All-Star, having a 50-40-90 season. That's interesting. Bam Adebayo is also somebody I had on here instead. And, my last spot was really the tough one for me. And, I basically ruled out like Jeremy Grant, Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, just because, especially with Brogdon and Sabonis, they had fallen off a little bit in recent games. I thought that probably Harris or LaVine would have been the best picks for me. I think would have been the two I would have gone with the most comfortably. Holiday and Vucevic were up there as well. Hayward, Randall. But yeah, so yeah, definitely more controversy for me in the East for the bench. And I'm also a little confused why so many people seem upset about the Trae Young snub I've heard a lot of talk about that. I don't see how Trae Young would have made it in here over anybody that made it in. I don't really see that at all. He was a starter last year, yeah, but I don't think that he should have been a starter last year. Do I think he should have been an all-star last year? Yeah, sure, probably. I think Bradley Beal should have been an all-star last year as well, either over him or Kyle Lowry or somebody. But with Trae Young, the Hawks just have way too much talent to be where they are in the standings. Has not been a good season for them so far. And Trae Young continues to be the worst defensive player in basketball. So it's kind of hard for me to give somebody a title like an all-star if they're the worst player on defense in the entire league, essentially. Not saying that he's not somebody I thought about that would be probably next on this list. Him and Fred VanVleet and a couple other people would probably be right after these guys. But yeah, not a guy that I really, really, really considered. And I don't think that it's much of a snub. I was looking at some tweets about, just people's reactions and stuff. And I saw, last year for the East, the three of the starters were Trae Young, Pascal Siakam, and Kemba Walker. So two of those guys definitely were not considerations for me, like at all, really. I mean, Siakam maybe a tiny bit would have been around the next few guys probably. But yeah, Kemba Walker has not had a great season, but he's just been injured a lot. Kind of a shell of his former self so far, just dealing with a lot of knee issues. It's been pretty sad how fast he's fallen within a year. But yeah, all three of those guys, it's kind of crazy. Went from starters to not really even in the conversation for me. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't think these are too bad of all-star teams. I think these pretty good. Not too much controversy for me at least. So yeah, not bad. I also just wanted to check out the Defensive Player of the Year ladder that is posted on NBA.com. Just kind of look at it because me and Anthony and Jacob actually had a discussion about this earlier this week on our Twitter group chat. So it's been on my mind. So wanted to talk about it. So it looks like we got Rudy Gobert and Ben Simmons at the top like I would have assumed. But yeah, so we got Rudy Gobert here at number 1 just because of the elite rim protection he provides and the boost to his team's defensive rating that he's provided his entire career has been even elevated to a new level this season. So yeah, and then we got Ben Simmons here at number 2. Most other years I think would be number 1. And, it is kind of a toss-up for me right now between Gobert and Simmons. Mathematically, Gobert, advanced analytics is going to look like the better defender. Paint protectors always do. Mathematically, they save more points per game than any other type of defense on the floor. And, Ben Simmons is more of a perimeter defender. But, where I think perimeter defenders' advantages lie is really in the end of game moments in crunch time. Their ability to neutralize isolation scores. They can lock down and key in on one particular offensive player on the other team and, take away their shot creation ability for the most part. And so, down the stretch of games, in some cases, the lockdown perimeter defenders could actually be more crucial to win those close battles. So that's where I see, their value, where they edge out above, the paint protectors. And then on top of that, with Ben Simmons, I think he is a little bit of a cross between a paint protector and a perimeter defender because he does provide some elite rim protection when compared to normal perimeter defenders that are going to be in this conversation usually like a Kawhi or just a prototypical wing defender type of guy. He's definitely more of a big man crossed with that type of player. So that does, also add on to his resume a little bit for the season. But yeah, I think I understand picking Rudy Gobert first just because of the defensive rating metrics and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Simmons has a case as well. And then Miles Turner is at number 3 for a very similar reason when compared to Rudy Gobert, just because of his elite rim protection this season. He's leading the league in blocks per game. And, he's just been an animal on the Pacers, really raising their defensive rating by a lot. LeBron James at number 4. Anthony being the anti-LeBron guy that he is, did not like seeing him up here. But I don't know. I don't hate it. I know that he's been very crucial for the Lakers defensively this season. But I don't know if I would go as far as to say he's over guys like Clint Capella or Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo even. Guys like that I think should be higher up here. But I don't mind seeing LeBron James close to the top 5. Not at all. Mikal Bridges, that's an interesting one. He is a perimeter defender like Ben Simmons. I haven't watched a lot of Phoenix this season, to be honest. So, I haven't seen a lot of Mikal Bridges on defense this season, but I do know, he's got some of the longest arms compared to his body, I think, in NBA history. So, he's got a wingspan that goes on for days. And he is, a perimeter wing defender that can guard smaller, shiftier guards, I believe, as well as, up to bigger players like threes and fours. So, he's got the versatility factor. But yeah, I guess I don't know how really locked down and crucial he's been for the Suns this season. But yeah, I'm surprised to see him this high. That does surprise me to see him over guys like Embiid and Capella and even Bam Adebayo, or maybe even Giannis as well, who just won it last season. Giannis has fallen out of contention really this season just because the way they use him there in Milwaukee as just a help defender primarily, or basically exclusively. Help defenders seem a lot less impactful when the team defense as a whole is not as good. Last year, they had a much better team defense, and Giannis was able to cripple offenses with his help defense style on top of that, on top of the team being elite defensively already. And that is a similar thing with like Draymond Green in Golden State. Similar type of thing, having a already pretty solid defense around him and him just elevating that with his help defense. It's harder to do that when the defense around you already isn't as good. But I do think Giannis would be higher on here if they used him more as a lockdown guy, a guy to defend like LeBron and KD and Kawhi when they play those teams. If they used him more as that type of player, I feel like his impact would be felt much more greatly. So yeah, I would expect to see him higher at the end of the season if they do start using him more like that. I think that Coach Bud probably should this season with his defense just not being configured the same way as it was last year. So that might be good for them. Yeah, I don't hate this list at all. Here's another one that was posted earlier this month. It's got Clint Capella at 5, Simmons at 4, Miles Turner at 3, Gobert at 2, and Anthony Davis at 1. Interesting. I think this is mainly fueled by just wanting him to win, and also this was a while ago, I guess, just a few weeks ago before the Anthony Davis injury. But still, even back then, I don't think Anthony Davis should be this high. Tim McMahon tweet here: 6th man of the year, Jordan Clarkson; coach of the year, Quinn Snyder; DPOY, Rudy Gobert. Those would all three probably be my picks right now as well. It's funny that they're all on the Jazz, but they've just had that kind of year so far. And so last night, after I got done working on the first leg of work for this episode, I watched some games because, I kind of need to do that to do what I do. But yeah, there were some really good games last night. And the TNT ones, the national broadcast ones, we got the Celtics and Mavericks, which was an incredible game. Very, very, very entertaining. Both of the TNT games last night were really, really entertaining. So did not disappoint at all. But yeah, we had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 57 points. Kemba Walker actually did have a pretty good game last night, and in the last few games for the Celtics has been a lot better. He was hitting some shots down the stretch, especially hitting some really big ones, a couple big threes, taking it to the rim, just making really smart plays. And yeah, it was good to see Kemba have a pretty efficient, actual good game, which, he's had a few this season, but it's been sad to see him struggle with that knee injury and really try to fight back and get back to his normal self. Hopefully this is a good sign moving forward this season that he will continue to, get back into a nice starting level point guard that I do think he can still be. So, that would be big for them. Peyton Pritchard had an all right game as well. Aaron Nesmith has been playing a lot more minutes recently, and I haven't hated what I've seen from him. He hasn't been shooting it super well. That's kind of why he was drafted, but defensively he's looked a lot better than I was expecting him to be. Yeah, on the Mavericks side, we had Luka just have a Luka type game. Really, the whole Mavericks team was just kind of playing well for the most part. Both teams kind of struggled offensively for the most part this game. But yeah, the Celtics without Marcus Smart and the Mavericks without Porzingis, they were able to get guys to step up and make some shots. Boban had 10 off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 14. Brunson had a really big game, really, really big fourth quarter as well. Really helped them put the nail in the coffin, win the game. But speaking of putting a nail in the coffin of this game, we got Luka Doncic hitting 2 of the biggest shots of the year in succession from one another down the stretch. And, this podcast episode is going to be up on YouTube, and I'm actually using a screen recorder for this episode, so there's going to be video instead of just like the Next Man Up logo like we have in the past. So if you're on Spotify, you won't be able to see this. but I'm going to be playing the clip of the last couple shots down the stretch. So if you want to watch that stuff, I definitely recommend watching the podcast on YouTube for this episode. I'm not sure if I'm going to do every episode like this, just something I want to try out. So we had Kemba hit this big three to make it 103-104. Dallas leads with a minute 55 left. And then with about 40 seconds left, Jaylen Brown hits this go-ahead basket to put it 105-104. And then Luka just dances on Daniel Tice in space, hits a step-back three. Shot clock running down, 15 seconds left. 107-105 Mavericks. Then we got Jaylen Brown on the other end, hitting a runner in the lane to tie it up 107-107 with about 8 seconds left coming down the floor. Luka takes it to the left side, steps back, hits a three with 0.1 seconds left. Put him up 110-107. Celtics couldn't do anything. They were covered outside the three-point line. But yeah, that Luka step back three to win it was very, very, very similar. Right when it happened, I thought of this to the game winner he had in the bubble in the playoffs against the Clippers in overtime, where he did the same type of thing. He came over to the left side like this, steps back, hits the huge game winner, same area on the court. So that's just pretty crazy. Maybe people should not let him be taking step back threes over there to win games. But yeah, that was super crazy, super impressive. Very, very intense moments closing out that game. Very, very fun game to watch. Both these teams, have been struggling thus far this season. So it was just a fun one to see. Two teams that have been underachieving and really trying to turn the season around, kind of go at it. But yeah, and then the next TNT game was the Blazers and Nuggets, which obviously I'm a Nuggets fan, so definitely watched this one. And I loved seeing Carmelo Anthony go off. I was wanting that at the very beginning of the game. When I started watching, I was hoping Melo would have kind of a vintage performance, just because, I'm a Melo fan for life, being the Nuggets fan that I am. He's, was around when I first fell in love with the Nuggets, first fell in love with basketball. He's the reason my favorite college basketball team is who it is in Syracuse. So definitely wanted him to have a really good game. And, that second quarter, he was just on fire, hitting jumper after jumper. He had 16 points in the second quarter, I believe. He had Hartenstein space on this one. Kind of just toyed with a lot of the Nuggets defenders with his jab steps, pump fakes, hitting a lot of mid-range shots, turnaround, fadeaway. I'm not sure why we had Hartenstein on him for those first few possessions. I really love what I've seen from Zeke Naji recently, hitting the three ball really well, 42% on the season, and playing surprisingly good defense. I'll probably talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, Melo, even when we put Naji on him, was just back to his old ways. Jab step, just hitting tough mid-range shots. Yeah, like I said, went off for 16 in the second quarter, finished with 24. As a Melo fan, I kind of wish they would have kept going to him down the stretch in the second quarter, or the second half, but they were kind of spreading it around more, not really getting Melo in rhythm quite as much. With a Dame on the bench there in the second quarter, Melo was just kind of getting in rhythm and really found his zone. Kind of playing like New York Melo, honestly. The broadcasters were saying he's looking like Denver Carmelo, but stylistically he was definitely playing more like the New York type of Melo, very slow and methodical, taking shots like this in the mid-range, getting the ball, posting up, swinging it around, playmaking out of the post like that. Very, very New York Melo-esque. So yeah, great game from Jokic as well with 41. Jamal Murray had, a lot of people said Jamal Murray had a Bubble Murray performance. Like they were calling him Bubble Murray in this game when he kind of went off in the fourth quarter. But I was just like, no, this is exactly who Jamal Murray has been for the last couple seasons outside of the bubble. So he's been the guy that goes 1 for 8 through the first three quarters and scores, I think 5 points, is what he had. Yeah, and then he finished in the fourth quarter, he had 19 points and was just not missing shots. That's the type of player he's been for a while now. He'll be completely out of it for 3 quarters in a row, and then in one quarter will just completely go off, and he can't be stopped. That's just the way that he's been for a while. And the bubble, what it was he was doing that really consistently. He was performing super well quarter after quarter, putting together game after game where he was playing just at a very, very high level. So would like to see more of that, the actual Bubble Murray type stuff. But yeah, Jamal Murray is fun when he arrives. The way he's been, past few seasons, he's fun when he plays well, but not very fun when he hasn't been. Yeah, like I said, Najee has been a big surprise for me this season. I kind of want to take back some of my statements I made about him in the draft. I was not happy when we drafted him. But all my knowledge of him was basically the Ringer draft guide, the player profile they had written up for him from his freshman year at Arizona. And, they described him as a center, and a slow-footed center at that, like a guy that's not going to defend in space very well. He's going to just be a guy that is doing most of his work inside and possibly be able to be a three-point threat, a stretch center, stretch five. But so far, he's been much more of a wing than anything. Like, he's more of a stretch four, not really playing inside very much, and he's actually defending a lot of wings mostly, even switching on to guard sometimes. He switched on to Dame a few times in this game, and actually was surprisingly, pretty good. Not saying, he's going to be an elite defender in space against shifty guards or anything like that, but he's not who I was expecting from what I read about him. More of the type of player that I was wanting to get this offseason, which is, a more versatile wing defender that can shoot threes. And he's hit threes at a very, very capable level, very high clip so far this season. Been loving seeing him get opportunities, catch and shoot in the corner. He's been doing that a lot this season, and also just defending pretty well, especially for a 19-year-old rookie. He's been very good. So I'm excited about Zeke Najee. I'm glad we got him in the draft. I apologize for being mad about that pick before. I'm also excited for the RJ Hampton pick. He hasn't been too great so far. He's had a couple moments here and there, but I think Campazzo's definitely solidified himself as more of the rotation piece in this Nuggets team. Campazzo's been awesome in a lot of games recently. Didn't have a great game tonight, but he's been really good lately. Just making smart decisions. The Nuggets this game broke a all-time record of fewest turnovers in a game by a team. They turned it over a total of one time. That's crazy. A few teams throughout history has done it 2 times, has had a game where they turned it over twice, but no team has ever just thrown 1 turnover. So that's pretty crazy. Murray and Jokic, I think usually between the two of them average around 5 per game, I'd say. But yeah, and that's not a lot. Those are just 2 guys that handle the ball a lot. But to have just 1 for the entire game, I believe it was Murray's, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. MPJ has been hit or miss so far this season. He's had a few good games recently, but also he's just been kind of absent some nights. And I'd like to see him, kind of build up his confidence more so, get in rhythm. The games that he has had that have been really good, we've kind of allowed him to get into his rhythm more, those games. And I think that that's something we kind of want to do more so moving forward, to have him develop into the type of star that we need him to be. Lillard did not have a very good game, but he did have 13 assists quietly. I didn't really notice that, but, he, especially for the first 3 quarters, was not hitting his threes very well. I've seen a lot of people credit the Denver defense for that, but I think that it was mainly just Lillard had a little bit of an off night. I mean, we didn't defend him badly, but he was getting some of those open, deep shots that he usually gets, but he just wasn't converting quite as often. Enes Kanter had a pretty good night. It was pretty tough for him to guard Jokic, obviously. Enes Kanter not being a great interior defender. Gary Trent Jr. has been really good this season, just like he was last year in the bubble. And Derrick Jones Jr. Had a really good game as well, hitting the 3. So if he's doing that, it definitely hurts the opposing team that you're going against. But luckily, Nuggets were able to scrape out that win. But for other games, we got the Wizards and the Clippers, which the Clippers were just playing really well. Terrence Mann had an amazing game. Him coming out of Florida State, I thought was going to be more like a wing in the NBA, but he's definitely been playing basically point guard a lot of minutes for the Clippers off the bench. But for other games, we got the Wizards and the Clippers, which the Clippers were just playing really well. Terrence Mann had an amazing game. Him coming out of Florida State, I thought was going to be more like a wing in the NBA, but he's definitely been playing basically point guard a lot of minutes for the Clippers off the bench. He's kind of found his way into the rotation. Luke Kennard has been really disappointing so far this season after getting handed a ton of money. He just hasn't really been there that often this season in big ways. His minutes are kind of dwindling as a result. But yeah, and Serge Ibaka has not been playing super well this season either. Surprisingly, I thought Ibaka would have been a great fit, a great piece here with the Clippers. Maybe it's just age. He's declining a little bit, but Zubats might be, edging out as kind of proving himself to be the starter on this team. He's been playing really well. They were going to him a lot early in the fourth quarter as, in the short roll. He was playmaking pretty well out of the short roll, hitting guys in the corner or dump off passes to guys in the dunker spot, and taking it himself a few times as well to the rim. So he's been playing really well. Paul George great season so far. Kawhi Leonard, great season so far. Both of them hitting really big shots down the stretch of the game. Yeah, not too much else to say. I don't know why Serge Ibaka has been so disappointing this season. Lately he just hasn't really been there very well for them. Yeah, and then with the Wizards, Russell Westbrook has been looking better recently. And, obviously the Wizards just came off their 5-game win streak. This is the loss that broke that win streak. But yeah, Moritz Wagner has been playing very well. Davis Bertans has found his shot in recent games. This game he wasn't very good last night, but recently, like against the Nuggets, he went off. I think it was 9 for 11. So a great shooter like him, he's bound to hit a stride, and he has been over this run. And really, that's been the key. Westbrook playing more to the level that we expected him to. Bertans hitting his shots. Wagner developing the way he has. Garrison Matthews is a guy that's kind of stepped in and played some important minutes for them. They kind of just got him out of nowhere. Denny Avdia has been okay so far. He hasn't played a lot of minutes recently, but I'd like to get him more integrated into the team just to kind of see what kind of player he is. Haven't watched a lot of him, but Bradley Beal, just down the stretch of this game, he was taking it to the Clippers, but it's kind of hard for him to finish inside. Just wasn't making a few of his shots, just to close this game out. The Clippers were hitting their shots. The Wizards guys were not really. That was really the key. But yeah, both Westbrook and Beal played really hard this game, and they have been over the last stretch of games that they've played, and it's been huge for them. It's been amazing to see the Wizards hit their stride a little bit. It's exciting to see how this Eastern Conference might shake out now with new teams like the Wizards, like the Heat, like Toronto hitting their stride and getting back up there in the standings where they were expected to be at the beginning of the season. So yeah, but the Bucks and Timberwolves game, I didn't catch really any of that. I think I saw the beginning of the fourth quarter, but I stopped watching just because it was kind of a blowout. Not a lot going on. Giannis had a really good game though, I'm pretty sure. Cat had 26, Malik Beasley had 26, and Malik Beasley's been playing very well for this Timberwolves team this season. I like seeing Jaden McDaniels get a part of the rotation. Yeah, Giannis had 37, 8, and 8, playing like an MVP still, even though he's not being talked about at all. Nets, yeah, to close this game out, I watched the fourth quarter of this game really, for the most part, probably like the final 8 minutes. I think it was like 108 to 112 when I started watching with the Nets in the lead. And ever since that point, the Nets just went on a streak. Kyrie, Harden were making a few of their shots, but most of all, Bruce Brown was just on fire, hitting I think 2 of his 6 threes on the season. Both came in this game. So, and he went off for a career high 29. And that was really the key difference just down the stretch. Bruce Brown closing out the game somehow. But yeah, De'Aaron Fox had a good game with 27 and 8. Tyrese Halliburton has been playing very well, definitely in the Rookie of the Year conversation, up there with LaMelo Ball. But yeah, tough for the Kings to close out that game when the Nets just had some weird contributions. But yeah, this Sixers-Raptors game was kind of ugly. Embiid was just not making his shots for the most part early on. Raptors, even though they've lost Gasol and Ibaka, have still found a way to play Embiid defensively pretty well. They make it hard for him, just swarming him with smaller defenders. Korkmaz got the start and had a season high of 19, hit I think like 5 threes. Ben Simmons had a decent game. Defensively, he didn't look quite as sharp as he had been before he came back from injury, or before he had the injury. But yeah, Tobias Harris was looking sharp out there, hitting threes, playing well offensively. So that was the key difference for the Sixers. But yeah, their best players didn't play super well between Embiid and Simmons, especially Embiid. But down the stretch, he was getting a lot of free throws, actually putting the ball in the basket more. I think he had like 5 points up until like halfway through the third quarter, and then he ended up with 18. Siakam had 22. Norman Powell with 24, who's had a great season for them so far. There've been trade talks for him going into a deal to get Andre Drummond, and I don't know if that will be worth it. I think Norman Powell is an amazing role player to have, and really fits in well with the system, but they do need a center. That would be nice to get. Having Aaron Baines not playing super well, but playing a little bit better as of late. But yeah, just not having a super deep rotation there with the center spot. An obvious trade to look out for. Looks like Cleveland and Atlanta came down pretty close. Cleveland won 112 to 111. I did not watch this game though, Yeah, Trae Young, 28, 12, and 7. Kevin Huerter with 22. Might be an interesting game to watch, but neither of those teams are really too much on my radar at this point. The Pistons beat the Magic, even though, the Magic were on a bit of a tear recently with Vucevic just balling out, but bound to get some losses here and there, especially with the Magic not having a very great team this year. But, Vucevic got that all-star spot, continuing to play like one, 29-4. Evan Fournier's back in the rotation after being out for a while with injury. But yeah, not too much. I guess Saban Lee out of nowhere with 21 points. Josh Jackson off the bench with 18 and 7. Yeah, odd win for Detroit. But in this Warriors game, Steph basically closed it out. Julius Randle got his all-star spot, 25, 10, and 7, celebrating that. RJ Barrett had a pretty rough game, only 4 points. But yeah, Derrick Rose came off the bench with 16, 8, and 4, was guarding Steph in closing minutes of the game. But yeah, just not enough. Emmanuel quickly, I feel like, should have got more minutes this game. But yeah, who knows? I feel like Elfrid Payton, 34 minutes, might be pushing it a little bit when you got guys like Emmanuel quickly coming off your bench, as well as Derrick Rose. Yeah, Obi Toppin, got to see him for a little bit. Hit a 3, did some stuff. Not a whole lot, but yeah, he hasn't played a whole lot of minutes this season. Like to see him get a little bit more run as a rookie this year, especially with the 8th pick. But he hit a 3, so good to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Wizards on their 5-game win streak that they just came off of were playing really well. They beat the Lakers, Blazers, Nuggets, Rockets, and Celtics. That's crazy. That's a nice 5-game stretch there. And then they lost to the Clippers. And they got the Nuggets again tomorrow. So hopefully the Nuggets get the win, obviously, me being the Nuggets fan, but Wizards, it's good to see them hitting their stride a little bit, like I said before. Lakers have been struggling, like I said earlier in this episode, without Anthony Davis. But yeah, Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, along with the shooting of Bertans, has really been the key to this winning streak. The Celtics have not been great as of recent. They lost that big lead they had against the Pelicans recently. They beat the Hawks the second time they played them, but the first time the Hawks had pretty much control over that game for the most part. They beat a completely depleted Nugget squad, but did not look too sharp while doing it. And they lost to the Pistons just before that. Celtics fans have obviously been hitting the panic button on this season, the worst one so far since Brad Stevens has been there as head coach since 2013. So, but hopefully, they put it together a little bit more. I think they will be more of a threat in the playoffs than what their record suggests right now. But yeah, it's been tough to watch them deal with the injuries that they have, and also losing Gordon Hayward has been a really big issue for them as well, missing that playmaking and also just wing depth. They're another team that I would imagine are going to make a trade sometime this season. One that we've heard talked about a lot is Vucevic. Celtics going and getting Vucevic in a trade, basically giving up a bunch of their draft picks they have right now, their own draft picks. And they have the Gordon Hayward trade exception in order to get that deal done. So it is possible. The money will work using that trade exception to get Nikola Vucevic's, I think, $27 million contract onto their books for this season. All right, so some time has passed since I was just looking at all these games. This episode is taking a little long to make, but so these games that we're going to be on tonight have already happened now. So, and I haven't got a chance to watch them. I'll probably be watching them tomorrow for the most part. Watch a lot of their fourth quarters and stuff like that. But looks like the Lakers got stomped by the Jazz, which, I was just talking about earlier about how I knew that the Lakers would probably start struggling with Davis out and also with Schroeder out as well. But yeah, and also especially with the Lakers schedule coming up as well, the toughness of schedule, playing some pretty decent teams. So yeah, and obviously this is probably going to be hurting LeBron James's MVP candidacy at least a little bit. He only played 28 minutes tonight, which is good for him to get some rest after playing a bunch of 40-minute games this month already. So yeah, Clarkson with 18, Bogey with 15, Mike Conley 14. Yeah, just all around team effort, it looks like, from the Jazz in this one. Even, yeah, Google's at it too. I was looking at LeBron James's basketball reference like a week ago. I was getting really bothered with the fact that it's showing him as a point guard on Basketball Reference, and I guess it is on Google and stuff like that. And I know we call LeBron James a point guard all the time because offensively, the way he plays the game is pretty similar to some traditional point guards, being more of a facilitator. At this point, I just feel like we should be done labeling positions of players based on their offensive skill set, because it's such a blurry, like, how are we going to be doing this moving forward? I feel like the way we need to start thinking about it, and the way I've been thinking about it for a while, is they're like the dimensions of the player. Like, who are they going to be matching up with? What kind of players are they going to be guarding? What kind of players are guarding them? LeBron James, by sheer size and the way that he defends and everything like that, is going to be guarding forwards, and forwards are going to be guarding him. So that's why I would call him a forward. Those are the type of players who are going to be guarding him, and those are the type of players he's going to guard. So I feel like it's just the best way to do it. Like, offensively, you can still describe him as a point guard or that kind of thing, but like to actually say his position is the point guard position is just kind of wacky to me. It's like, on this floor, just looking at the court, that's not you're going to call KCP probably the point guard in this scenario. He's going to be guarding the point guards. Point guards are probably going to be guarding him. Talen Horton-Tucker is probably the 2. Either Markieff or LeBron are going to be the 3 or the 4, really. Those are interchangeable in this lineup, it looks like. Just depends on who they're going against. In this case, with the Jazz, I'd assume Royce O'Neal is on LeBron for the most part, and Bogdanovich is going to be on Markieff Morris, which Royce O'Neal is more. Oh, wow. See, they say he's the small forward, he's the power forward. It doesn't mean much these days, like, at all. I was going to say Royce O'Neal would be the small forward, and Bogdanovich was the 4, because Royce O'Neal's only 6'4" and guards a lot of guards and stuff like that. So I would call him more the small forward. But I think we just need a better way to do positions, because the way it's happening right now is just kind of weird. Like, if we look at the lineups of the Lakers, in this starting lineup, like we already pointed out, they got LeBron as the point guard. But let's see, what's the most common lineups? Okay, so we got, look, it has 2 point guards. So in 20 games, the most common Lakers lineup has 2 point guards somehow. Dennis Schroeder and LeBron James are both point guards, and KCP is a shooting guard. Anthony Davis at power forward, Marc Gasol at center. Like, I don't know. Like, in this scenario, Dennis Schroeder is probably going to be the one guarding point guards for the most part. Depends, I guess, on the specific point guard. KCP might guard them as well. But these guys are going to be the backcourt defenders, KCP and Dennis Schroeder. That's your backcourt. And backcourt players are going to be defending them. I just feel like that makes you the backcourt. LeBron James is the small forward in this scenario. Anthony Davis is the power forward. Marc Gasol is the center. LeBron James can still be your primary ball handler as a small forward. It's called a point forward. Like, that's a term. You can still be the primary facilitator, ball handler. You can really do anything on offense that you want as the small forward. Nikola Jokic handles the ball probably even more than anybody on the team with the Nuggets, other than maybe Jamal Murray. And he's the center. And that's why we don't list him as shooting guard or like point guard or something. Like, he's the center. He just plays offensively a very odd game. He plays very traditionally more of a facilitator role. But he's the biggest guy on the floor who's going to be guarded by centers, and he's going to guard centers. So it's like he's just the center. So it's, I don't know. I feel like that's the way we need to think of it more so. Yeah, that was a quick little rant. But like Ben Simmons being called a point guard for so long. But now, he's defending more point guards, so that's better. But still, he's the small forward. It's like Ben Simmons is the small forward, Tobias Harris is the power forward, Joel Embiid is the center. Danny Green is the shooting guard, and Seth Curry is the point guard. Like, that's the lineup. That's who they're going to be defending usually. Like, just in like general, and a generality of who they're going to be playing, the dimensions of the players, how they're going to be matching up for the most part. It's just weird. Luka Doncic, I would say, is more of a small forward. He guards small forwards usually, or even power forwards. Like, he's on the floor at the same time as like Josh Richardson and Tim Hardaway Jr. Usually those guys are going to be defending more of the backcourt players, and Luke is going to be defending bigger guys, and vice versa. So it's like, I don't know, just kind of a little bit of a rant with that, but it doesn't really matter that much. It just kind of is weird to me how we nail in players at what position they are, and like how they can only be considered that for like all-star voting and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways. Looks like the Suns lost a tight one to the Hornets. Ooh, so they lost by 3. Gordon Hayward with 28 and 4. LaMelo Ball had a good game with 24 and 8. Malik Monk out of nowhere. What the heck? 29 points in 28 minutes. Chris Paul had a really good game with 28 and 10. And Devin Booker with 33 points. Ayton with 16 and 10 also. Like, yeah, that's a really good game from the Suns, it looks like, at least from their three best players. And the Hornets were able to overcome that. The Suns are still sitting at a mighty 20 and 11, though, so not too much of a loss, like not too crazy. But the Eastern Conference is getting shaken up weird. 15-16. There's so many teams around this record, like just slightly below 500 in the East. So, yeah, Bulls another one, 15-16. Just beat the Timberwolves, who just fired their coach a couple days ago, Ryan Saunders, the son of Flip Saunders, which that's kind of sad that, he had like the family ties to the organization, but they have been a very crappy team and they needed to make some changes. So I don't blame that at all. But they hired Chris Finch midseason, who is the assistant coach over at the Toronto Raptors. So that was interesting hire. I saw Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum were advocating for a guy that, they consider a friend, I guess, as the assistant coach with the Timberwolves. Why they were asking why not you just promote him to the head coach instead of going and hiring a guy midseason. But yeah, who knows? But it's going to be interesting to say the least. Minnesota, they are probably going to end up with odds to be in the top 3 in the draft, I'm guessing. And if they land outside the top 3, the Warriors get their pick. So I think they're going to be really trying to lose a lot of games to really get the worst odds possible or the best odds possible to get the number 1 pick, which I believe even if they get the worst odds in the NBA or the best odds in the NBA, so the worst team record in the league, they still only have a 40% chance of landing in the top 3, the way the lottery is structured. So they're still more likely to lose their pick, even if they're the worst team in the league. And they'll end up with basically nothing to show for it, I guess. But yeah, so it's interesting whether they should be trying to tank or not. But yeah, they're just bad. They're just kind of hopeless this season. This is a dead season for them. But I didn't even look at stats here. Anthony Edwards, 21, 9 and 6, had a good game. Jared Vanderbilt, I'd like to see him getting some run, 16-6, being inserted into the starting lineup. I like that. Naz Reid off the bench with 13 and 4. Cat with 24, 8 and 5. Malik Beasley again with a nice high-scoring game with 25. Jaden McDaniels got another game with some substantial minutes, 16 minutes in this game. Patrick Williams on the Bulls side with 13. Wendell Carter Jr. with 17-10. Zach LaVine with 35 points, celebrating his All-Star selection, his first ever All-Star selection. Kobe White with 28 and 6. Thad Young with 14. And Satoransky with 16, 5 and 4. Yeah, a good win for the Bulls. This is in that range again that I'm talking about with the Eastern Conference, just slightly below 500. The Heat grabbed this one, 116-108 against the Toronto Raptors. OG Anunoby with 14, Norman Powell with 17, Van Vliet and Kyle Lowry both with 24. Jimmy Butler with a nice 27, 8 and 10 game. Bam with 19, 12 and 4. Duncan Robinson with 17 points. Iggy with 12. Dragic with 15. Gabe Vincent off the bench with 11 also. Looks like the Pelicans got a nice win over the Pistons. Mason Plumlee with 21, 9 and 7. Man, his stat lines have been weird this season. I saw he got a triple-double. Yeah, this is just a weird team. Very weird. Lots of big guys. Just, I don't understand the roster construction of it at all. But, they're a team. They're doing stuff, I guess. Brandon Ingram, 27, 7 and 8. Zion with 32, 6 and 5, celebrating his first ever All-Star appearance that he's going to make here in a couple weeks. Steven Adams, 14, 15. Lonzo with 12, Bled with 11, and Josh Hart with 11 as well. Cavs beat the Rockets, which the Cavs have slipped a bit out of that just below 500 zone that they were at for a while. Haven't been playing super well as of late. But yeah, on the Rocket side, Vic with 17, 6 and 5. Wall with 20 points. Eric Gordon with 17 as well. Daniel House with 14. And with the Cavs, Jared Allen had 26 points and 18 rebounds. What a game. Sexton with 23. Garland with 11 and 10. Warriors eke out a win against the Pacers, 111-107. Wiggins with 15. Draymond with 12, 9 and 11. Steph with 24, 8 and 8. Kelly Oubre with 17 points. Eric Paschall with 13. James Wiseman with 11. Kind of, spreading around the love and shots around the court, looks like, with the Warriors. On the Pacers side, Sabonis had 22, 16, and 4. Very Sabonis-y type game. Good to see him performing well again. Probably pretty mad he didn't get selected for the All-Star game. And Malcolm Brogdon had 24, 3 and 3. Doug McDermott with 15 points. Miles Turner with 14. Looks like the Hawks beat the Celtics again. They've been playing a lot recently. Ooh, this doesn't look like a good game from the Celtics. Tatum with 13, 1-1. Tristan Thompson looked pretty good though with 13-13. Looks like Jaylen Brown 17, 4-5. Looks like they're playing without Kemba. So that's a tough one. Obviously, not judging all these games just by the box score. Going to watch some of them as well, at least parts of them. Oh wow, Gallo with 38, 6-2. Holy cow! Glad to see Gallo getting his money's worth, or vice versa. Atlanta getting their money's worth out of Gallo after signing him to that pretty big contract this offseason. He had not been performing very well, which I said before the season. The Hawks are just a weird team for Gallo, and a lot of these guys they got, as well as Bogdanovich and their draft pick coming in, Onyeka Okongwu. It's just kind of a weird mix of guys, and they have not been playing super well. But lately, they've been winning a few games, so they're getting up here also in the just below 500 range in that Eastern Conference. So it's going to be, I'm going to look over at the standings here in a little bit, and it's going to probably be really weird. A lot of teams really close together. Yeah, Trae Young with 33, 4-7. But yeah, this is interesting to say the least. Having Gallo go off for that big of a night, it's good to see though. I'm a fan of Gallo. But yeah, probably going to continue. I was talking about the Nuggets earlier. Just going to go and kind of recap last week or so of games for us a little bit. Against the Hawks, Trae Young just kind of went off, had 35 points, 15 assists, and 6 rebounds. Yeah, and also we did not play very well in this game. Jokic had an awful game. I know I've heard a lot of people saying that Clint Capella played really good defense, which I'm not going to say he didn't. He did play some pretty good defense, but also at the same time, Jokic was just not converting. I would say this was the first bad game from Jokic this season. And his stat line didn't even end up looking that bad, 15, 10, and 6. But that was, pretty ugly to watch for a while. Just in comparison to how good Jokic has been this season. When he's not playing that well, it really hurts. But yeah, Zeke Naji started off the game pretty well. He hit a couple threes early on. One of them didn't count because he stepped out of bounds, I think. But yeah, I like what I've been seeing from Zeke Naji so far, playing defense as well as hitting threes at a pretty respectable clip, like I talked about earlier. Michael Porter Jr. had a pretty off game this game, only 10-3. But I think he went out with an injury during this game. But he came back for the game last night. So, yeah, Facu Campazzo had a really good game this game with 16 points. Monte Morris, good as always, 15, 7, and 6. Will Barton has been really shaky this season, but he had a decent game, I guess. It's just without Jokic performing well, it's just such a hard time winning. It's just not a great experience being a Nuggets fan right now, relying on. I love Jokic, and Jokic is really good, but we really need him to be performing well to do anything. And yeah, so with the Cleveland game, we got. MPJ had a pretty good game this game. That one was pretty good. And this game, Jokic pretty much took a backseat in terms of scoring because Jamal Murray, obviously with the 50 points, MPJ with 22 and 7, he was like, I'm just going to ride their hot hands this game, until they start missing. But the first half, they both lit it up, had around 20-ish points in the first half, I want to say. And Michael Porter Jr. kind of stopped after that, but Jamal Murray went off for even more and got 50. That was a bubble Murray performance type thing. He was playing good the whole game for the most part. So yeah, that's more of what I want to see out of Murray. Obviously don't need to score 50 every game, but want to see more consistency scoring in the mid to high 20s more often, and it being an actually really good, efficient scoring game. So we got Darius Garland with 14, Colin Sexton with 23, Jared Allen with 20 and 10. Nuggets kind of won this one pretty easily throughout the majority of the game. So it wasn't, not too much to talk about with that one. But yeah, JaMychal Green went down in this game. I think got hit. I can't remember now. Did he get hit in the face? I can't remember why JaMychal Green went down, but he is still out now. Kind of waiting on him to get back. We're missing Paul Millsap, JaMychal Green, Gary Harris, and some of those guys. So it's been hard lately. And yeah, this game was so frustrating down the stretch. I really wanted this win. We almost got it. We almost like Jamal hit several threes right down the stretch of the game to put the Nuggets in it, tie it up. It was a tough loss. I can't remember the last play. I'm feeling like there was a moment that we really should have taken control, like where I feel like we really could have won the game. Yeah, so it was 0.1. Oh, yeah, it was Jermichael Green had a couple fouls in a row to cost us the game, really. You know, Jamal Murray hit that 3 to tie it up at 128. And so, you know, Jermichael Green fouls Bradley Beal on his take, which, you know, he went kind of straight up, but it's just that's just a hard play to really defend. Where I think he really kind of went wrong was that he fouled the 3-point shooter, which gave them 128 to begin with. So here was Murray on that big 3 to tie it up at 125. And then, Bertans got fouled by Jermichael Green here, which it's interesting because, wow. He really kicked out there. So, like, in the Clippers game the other night with the Wizards, they called an offensive foul on Bertans for, like, this same type of thing with kicking out those legs. They called an offensive foul on him for that same type of thing. But this, 9 seconds left in the game, they call a defensive foul, a shooting foul on Jermichael Green. It's just, calls like that can go either way, and it just completely derails an entire game in those pivotal moments. So it's, you know, those kind of calls are really important. But yeah, nevertheless, though, it was a good game. I wish we would have pulled this one out, though. Russell Westbrook had an interesting stat line, 12, 12, and 13. Brad Beal, we really only lost this game because Bertans went off for 9 of 11 from 3. He was just stroking it from deep, very, very deep as well. Like, not a whole lot of options in terms of defense to be played on him out there. Mo Wagner started the game, but only played 3 minutes because Jokic just took it to him the first few possessions and embarrassed him. And so Scott Brooks took him out and opted to go with some beefier, more veteran centers to be guarding him, like Robin Lopez and Alex Len as well, who played a little bit better defense on Jokic, but Jokic still finished with a pretty good game, 33 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists. Yeah, Murray finished with 35, 9, and 6. Hit those threes down the stretch. Murray was really good in the fourth quarter. It just sucks that we couldn't get the win, which we play them again tomorrow. It says today because now it's after midnight. So, but yeah, trying to get through these really quick. You know, in this one, Jokic scored 43 points in the loss against the Celtics. We were very depleted in this game. We were missing Paul Millsap and Gary Harris and I think Will Barton as well, and Monte Morris, I think, too. Yeah, so this was a tough one. But yeah, Murray ended with 25, 6, and 6, but it was not a very good game for Murray. Facu had a pretty decent game, you know, made some plays. Porter, man, he could not buy a basket, was missing a lot of, but they were all like rimming in and out. Like he wasn't playing poorly. His shots just were not falling. Jokic, however, 43, 6, and 5, was basically doing whatever he wanted, scoring the ball against the Celtics. They just had too much in comparison to what Jokic had around him this game, which was basically nothing. So it was, but I don't think the Celtics even played very well this game. It was a pretty ugly game to watch all the way around. I would say pretty ugly game to watch, but I liked watching this game though, and watching the Celtics broadcast side of it. Because sometimes I start watching the game on League Pass on the Denver Nuggets broadcast, but they don't even have a scoreboard for some reason. Sometimes it's happened a few times, and I'll just have to switch over to the other team's broadcast. So I was watching on the Celtics broadcast, and I really like the commentators, the guys calling the game on there. Just how they were just so fascinated with Jokic the whole time. It was funny, and you know, the Celtics seeking out a center to get with the trade exception that they have for Gordon Hayward. They were like joking about how Jokic would sadly be a little bit too much money. They wouldn't be able to fit him in that trade exception. But yeah, that was just funny. But they were also comparing him to like Larry Bird and stuff like that, Celtics legends. So it was a fun time watching that game, not gonna lie. And then right before that, the Nuggets took down the Lakers pretty handily. That was the game that Anthony Davis got hurt in. So that's where that really started, with the Lakers missing Anthony Davis. He got hurt, I think, in like the third quarter, maybe even the second. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I think that's about it that I'm going to cover for the Nuggets, though. Like, I think we'll start getting better. We just need more stuff around you. Like, Jokic just needs some help defensively. He needs some good defenders around him. Najee's like a good find, like to see what he could become, but he's not like a awesome defender quite yet, you know. Looking at the conference standings, though, like I was talking about before, you know, the Wizards are going on a nice streak. winning streak that they just came off of. So they're climbing up here a little bit, but like they're not too far behind this huge group now, which is basically 4 through 12, 4 through 11. That's like just right at 500 or below. You know, we got a lot of teams in here: Pacers, Raptors, Bulls, Hornets, Heat, Celtics, Knicks, Hawks, Magic, and then the Wizards. Yeah, the East is going to be interesting. Who really makes it into the top 10 seeds? Because a lot of these teams could make a fight for it. I think the Heat will continue to get better. Raptors are also going to get up there. Celtics will make their way back up there, and Wizards might as well. So, and you know, those are the teams that really started off poorly this year, but they'll find their way back in there. I'm sure of it. So, but yeah, the Nets have been really impressive lately without KD, just having Kyrie and James Harden. Sixers have been barely holding on to that top spot, but you know, they're still, I think, one of the best teams in the East. But yeah, East is very interesting this year. A lot of competition in here. With the West, though, Jazz still on top, best record in the NBA. Clippers have made it up to the second spot now. The Lakers kind of struggling. Clippers at 23-10, Lakers at 22-11. Jazz, as I mentioned before, they're at the 26 wins and 6 losses. And then with the Suns, they got 20-11. Blazers 18-13, so that's the top 5. Then we got Spurs with 16-12, Nuggets with 17-14. I think the Nuggets will move up into the top 6 at least by the end of the season. I think, you know, we're at 7 right now, so that's not saying much, but I think Nuggets will be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference come playoff time. Hopefully, that's what I'm crossing my fingers for at least. But I'm pretty confident in that. You know, right after the Nuggets, we got Warriors at 8, Mavericks at 9, Grizzlies at 10, Pels at 11, OKC at 12, and the Kings at 13. The Kings have slid down quite a bit. You know, they were a little bit higher up earlier this season, up towards, you know, the 10 spot. Yeah, so they've slid down a little bit. I expect them to surpass the Thunder, though. I think the top 12 and maybe even the Rockets might pass the Thunder as well, just because, you know, the Thunder they've been playing pretty well for what they've got, but, you know, they're trying to lose games this year from a front office standpoint, I would say. Kind of clearing out their entire roster, just rebuilding from scratch, you know. So, and I think Kings and Rockets are more so trying to be a little bit more competitive, especially the Kings. But yeah, not too much else to talk about. I don't think the Blazers have been really good with, you know, Dame kind of keeping them afloat. You know, the game last night with the Nuggets, he didn't play super well, but they've still been really impressive. So yeah, I think the East is definitely much more of a question mark than the West at this point. Which, yeah, this year is really entertaining. It's going to be really entertaining to see who's here at the end and everything like that. So, yeah. So I decided to utilize the fact that I'm using a screen recorder on this episode and do something that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is just like basically react to random videos on YouTube that I get recommended that either have something to do with basketball or sports or something like that in general, and basically just get my reaction to them. This is one that I've seen in my recommended for a little while now. I haven't watched it yet, but you know, if this is good, I'll probably throw this in the podcast. I don't know. Something I just kind of wanted to try out. And so the video that we're reacting to is a Steven Crowder video in which he plays a sports trivia game. I'm not going to have any sort of statement on the politics of Steven Crowder. Just to be clear, I don't align myself with him. There's several different just political YouTubers and sources and stuff that I like to listen to that I don't really necessarily agree with. I like to get my news and stuff and form my opinions based off of hearing the opinions of people on multiple sides. So I listen to a lot of voices on the right as well as the left, and primarily in the center, because I would probably align myself mostly as a centrist, if I'm being honest. So this isn't me endorsing anything that Steve Crowder does or anything like that. I've just viewed his content before in the past, especially his Change My Mind videos and stuff like that. And I saw this, that they're doing a sports trivia. So this kind of crosses over more into my lane a bit more. So I just kind of wanted to see what it was about. I've heard said before with Steven Crowder that he knows nothing about sports or something, or except for boxing or something like that. Because I'm pretty sure he knows a bit about like UFC and boxing and stuff. But it'll be interesting to see like how much he knows and if I can get any of these questions right either. So I'm just going to jump right into it.
I know people often ask me, like, well, what do you think about the sports team? Or sometimes we'll, like, with life advice, we'll get sports questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think people can comprehend just how little I know about sports.
Yeah. So
Tokenau on there, Gibbon and Audio Wade said, we need to play this game where we are going to ask you about current sports. Very basic questions that anyone should know.
Okay.
And I promise you that I have not heard these questions before, and I'm not taking you for a ride. I'm just going to answer this as genuinely, and do not give me the answers.
Nope.
So it's time for Stephen Knows Sports.
Wide open, he scores!
Okay, so it is going to be a bit more basic questions. So hopefully I can get these right. Hopefully they ask some basketball ones.
Stephen Knows
Intro.
Sports.
Yeah.
Look at
Should we
how
run the
well
intro
Steven
again?
is distracting us from these sports
Yeah, exactly.
questions.
I'm in a lot of pain right now.
Go, Wade, go.
Okay, go.
All right, question number 1. Let's pull it up here. All right, which of these
I'm going
players...
to pause it just so I can read it. Which of these players did not play the 3 in basketball? So 3 meaning small forward, the position. Obviously, I would say Magic Johnson at B, because all LeBron, Scottie, and Larry Bird are definitely either small forward or power forwards. Usually Magic Johnson's listed as a point guard, so it'll be interesting to see if he gets this right. I think this is a pretty obvious one for people who know basketball, but I don't know how much Steven Kreider knows about basketball, so it'll be interesting to see actually if he even knows what this means. 3. I assume he does, but like I don't know if this will throw him off, because right when I read it, I wasn't thinking position right away.
not play the 3 in basketball? LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, or Larry Bird?
Wait, what does that mean? Did not play the 3?
Play the 3. I thought
Yeah.
you meant sports. You know, like a little bit, like just
Play the 3. Like I remember
Yeah.
the Magic 3 was LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Three is a position.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 is a.
Chris Bosh. Also, he said the Magic 3, which is close. I'm surprised that he got the team wrong. It was the Heat, not the Magic. But it's funny because they're both in Florida. They're both Florida teams, so that's kind of random that he got them mixed up that way. But it's also just kind of extra confusing because one of the options is Magic Johnson. But yeah, so just hearing that, his initial reaction from that, I'm not super confident in him selecting the right answer here.
a position.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know these
These
were
are
going to be
like-
multiple choice. This is even more embarrassing.
it's like pretty famous.
Okay, here's what I
players.
have to do. One of these things is not like the other, so I'm going to say Larry Bird.
Oh, because of the race thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, championships. He won more championships.
Oh, I didn't.
That's
okay,
true.
Sorry.
Did he just say he won more championships? Larry Bird has the least amount of championships on this. LeBron James has 4, Magic Johnson has 5, Scottie Pippen has 6, Larry Bird has 3. So that's kind of funny though.
Okay,
So B is not like the other.
Oh, you mean AIDS?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I go
Oh,
low
the
brow.
others
I was
don't
going to
have
say
AIDS.
C, paid well, but,
Oh, yeah. He was.
Thing-
Oh,
That's
poor
a
guy.
tough spot because he was the
Yeah.
second best player in the league, but he was just in the team with the best player. Scottie Pippen, if not for Michael Jordan, would probably have been like.
Did he just okay? I mean, I guess a lot of people do kind of say that sometimes. Like I'm curious to see like where he got that opinion, saying that Scottie Pippen was the best, second best player in the NBA in the 90s behind Jordan. I'm guessing he probably watched like the Last Dance documentary or something like that, and they kind of say that in there. I remember, but that's just because it's pretty Bulls focused and a little biased towards them. But I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily wrong. It's just kind of funny, like how he just has that opinion, or why he thinks that's like a fact or something. Because it's definitely not like a consensus thing for sure. Like I'm sure if you pulled like most basketball historians and people from the 90s that were covering basketball, they would probably put Hakeem Olajuwon second behind Jordan, and probably even Charles Barkley behind, like right after that, especially in the early 90s. And then, in the later 90s, Karl Malone would be up there as well. David Robinson. Scottie Pippen is definitely in that stratosphere. But yeah, I don't know. And I'm not trying to say that like they're wrong for talking about how good Scottie Pippen is. I just think it's funny, like the general viewpoint like of Scottie Pippen is that he could have been way better than he was if he wasn't teammates with Michael Jordan. Like he would be considered much higher all time if he wasn't teammates with Michael Jordan, which I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like Scottie Pippen is like the perfect guy all time to be like a second superstar on a team, like your second best guy. Like if Scottie Pippen is your second best guy, you're one of the best teams of all time. And that's just because he fits really well as being a second best guy. Like there's guys that would be better number 1 guys than Scottie Pippen that wouldn't be as good as Scottie Pippen on the Bulls was. He wouldn't be as good in Scottie Pippen's role. Like Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson, probably better number 1 options on a team, like to be your best guy on your squad. Your team probably has a higher ceiling with those guys as opposed to if your team's best player is Scottie Pippen, just because their type of skill set is more to like completely carry an offense, be the focal point of an offense. I'm not saying Scottie Pippen wouldn't be great in that role. He definitely would be. He's not. I don't think that's his strength. In the same way that it's those other guys like I named, like that is those guys' strength. I don't think that's Scottie Pippen's strength. Scottie Pippen is probably the best on-ball defender in NBA history, which is a very, very great achievement. He's probably top 15, top 20 best players of all time. If the way most people would rank the best players ever, he's probably put up there by a lot of people. Like I said before, Scottie Pippen could be the best player on a team, and that team would be pretty good, like probably a contender, a title contender, but it wouldn't be one of these all-time teams like we're talking about with like even Hakeem Olajuwon's Rockets, a team like that, or Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns. Those teams would have just had higher ceilings with those guys as the focal point of the offense. Scottie Pippen is just a perfect number 2 because he's a great defender, a great rebounder. With the ball in his hands, makes great decisions, super smart basketball decisions, makes the right play, gets all the teammates involved. That's more the type of player he is, and he gets easy points in transition. That's most of his offensive game, as he played with the Bulls. And then Michael Jordan was the focal point of the offense, scoring in isolation, and also just playing off of Scottie in the triangle and driving kick scenarios and stuff like that. So yeah, Scottie would just be a very different type of player if he didn't play alongside Michael Jordan. And I don't think that it's as easy as saying that he would be remembered much more greatly. If he wasn't teammates with Michael Jordan. I tend to think he probably wouldn't even be as high as we like to put him, because his strengths and his best qualities to his game would not have been brought out to the degree that they were if he wasn't playing on that team with Michael Jordan. Like he had all these skills that complemented Michael Jordan and the team that he was on so greatly. And if he wasn't in that kind of situation, those qualities wouldn't have been so apparent. Other aspects of his game would have been what would have contributed the most to his value on the court. And so you would just end up with a different type of player. And I think he would probably get remembered a little bit more in the realm of a Charles Barkley, a David Robinson type of guy. Scottie Pippen is remembered usually more than those guys just because of the team he was on, and he's looked at, he played with the best player of all time, and the narrative around him is like, this guy was super good too, he could have been even better, that kind of type of stuff, which, like I said, isn't necessarily wrong. It's just, I guess there's a little bit more nuance to it than just saying it like that,
He was the second best player in the league, but he was just on the team with the best player. Scottie Pippen, if not for Michael Jordan, would probably have been like the best player.
He helped make him the best player too.
He
did not get the credit.
He's
that he
articulate.
deserved.
I don't know. I'm going to go D.
Final answer D. Okay.
Final answer D.
All right, and it is B. Magic Johnson.
I guess
And is that because he couldn't play 3 because of the age? He could only play 2?
No, so the three is the small forward. Your job is to score, basically, and Magic Johnson was a point guard. He was
Point
a
guard.
1.
Your job is to score as a small forward. That's interesting. I mean, people with the different positions don't necessarily have different jobs offensively necessarily back, but they used to in other eras more so. Like the posts are going to catch the ball in the post and score on the inside like that, and point guards are going to be the ones facilitating but handling the ball. Usually that's like tradition, but small forwards being the ones that score. I mean, the league's leading scorers for a while were just centers and big men. But, forwards, I don't know. That's just kind of a weird statement because, I mean, just look at these players right here. Scottie Pippen was not a scorer on his team. That was Michael Jordan, the shooting guard. LeBron James has been the leading scorer on all the teams he's played on, but that's not necessarily his main strength. He's more of a distributor. Same with Scottie. Magic Johnson, more of a distributor, less of a scorer. Magic Johnson's definitely the least scorer on here, least scoring type, and that's why he does kind of fit more of the traditional point guard mold. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear these people's like their perspective. Trying to explain basketball to him is kind of entertaining.
Point guard. Distributor.
So why do we have numbers for some positions, like 3, and then someone else would call it a point guard?
Well, no, the point guard is the 1.
It'd be like if you're...
The three.
Point guard is the 1.
What's the 3?
There's a number.
Small forward.
His T
Small
cell
forward.
count.
So we use numbers, or we use... It's like if
And
you have
names.
chess, and you're like,
Yes.
yeah, that's your rook, that's my knight, and that's 148.62. Hut, hut, what are you doing?
I just really wanted to embarrass you, and I knew the bar was pretty low, and you misspelled Drew Brees.
All right, another sports question.
Yeah, so question 2. Which of these performance-enhancing drugs was Yankees pitcher Roger Clemens
Okay, so which of these PEDs was Yankees pitcher Roger Clemens not accused of using? Okay, so I don't know baseball very well, but okay. Performance enhancing drugs, HGH, steroids, Viagra, or speed, not accused of using. I would say speed. Both of these are kind of curveballs. It's definitely not these two, unless the real answer is just hidden really well and it's one of these two. I don't know. I would say speed. I don't know. I think that's just thrown in there because it sounds like it'd be a PED because the name is speed, but speed is just the street name for meth. So I don't think meth helps you in baseball, does it? I'd assume not, but yeah, we'll see.
Clemens not accused of using? Is it A, HGH, B, steroids, C, Viagra, or D, speed?
So I'm trying to think. I don't even know what era Roger Clemens is.
He played in the 1930s. Yes.
Really?
That helps you.
He played in the 1930s.
No, he didn't.
Well, no,
was gonna
that's
say.
finished in 1942.
No.
He played shortstop.
Well, then I would say HGH because HGH wasn't.
No. He's lying.
He's trying to throw you off the track.
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s? Okay, then HGH was already around.
He really doesn't know anything about sports. Okay, I believe you. I believe you don't know anything about sports. I believe it.
You have any idea how little free time I have?
I was like, Steven knows so much.
Wearing someone else's jersey like I've been pinned with his high school ring. I'm going to say D, speed, just because I feel like Viagra is the curveball and speed is when you. So D, speed.
D.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
See, I didn't even
got
know
it.
it was. I'm just using the power of logic.
Just a guess.
I don't know how.
That wasn't a guess. That wasn't a guess. That was that's how I used to do my Scantron tests.
Nice.
I didn't study. I'm like,
Deduction.
what would this most likely be if I were trying to fool someone like me?
At the end of every Sherlock Holmes story, I say, "Oh, good guess."
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yes.
I was really in between C and D there, but we're 2 for 2 so far. So
All right, give me another question.
All right, third question here. Name a professional soccer player.
okay, yeah, I can definitely do this. If we're talking about soccer, I don't know. Probably think about this too much, but if it says soccer, then I don't know if that means it has to be MLS, Major League Soccer, because otherwise it's called football. So I don't know if that's part of this question. It's probably not. But to stick with an MLS player, I know Zlatan was just playing for the Galaxy. I think he actually went back over to the Premier League. But Landon Donovan, I don't know. I think that last I knew, he was kind of like washed up probably. So he might be out of the league. I don't know. But yeah, soccer player in general, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar. I can name a few, I guess.
Player.
Oh, I can do this because Beckham.
Oh!
Wait.
Hey,
Current or
current
Does he
professional
not play
soccer
now?
player.
Didn't say current.
Does David Beckham play?
No, he is not a professional soccer player. He is an ex-professional soccer player.
Okay, so it can't be X. I was saying the only ones I
Let's see if
know.
David Beckham
Current.
plays.
I know. Hold on, Beckham. I know Pele is a name.
That's true.
It's a
former.
Oh,
Not
God.
current.
I'm with
You could just
Okay,
say
Beckham.
any name.
Beckham doesn't play anymore.
Okay.
I
What was
Pele,
that
I
guy
think
that
is
got a
dead.
really bad bust?
Wait,
Sculpture
hold on a
of
second.
his
You know
head?
what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to just throw a
Brazilian.
Hail Mary because
Yeah.
I follow combat, and there are a lot of Brazilians, and I know
Ooh,
okay.
Silva is like Smith.
Okay.
So something Silva. So I will say.
You got to guess the first
I will
name.
say Thiago Silva somewhere as a player.
wow. He
Or
couldn't-
Thiago Silva or
Oh, holy crap. It is a Brazilian soccer player named Thiago Silva. Wow. You know,
I think he's a
I'll
pretty
tell
famous
you
one,
what,
too.
I'm not good. I don't know anything about sports, but I'm a good test taker.
Wow. You know what?
That was going to be my
Wow.
recipe.
That's epic.
I want more.
Yeah, all right, number
question
four. Number four. Who was the first ever Pride FC open weight?
Who's the first ever Pride FC open weight Grand Prix champion? Because I don't know fighting stuff like at all, so I'm just gonna completely guess. There hasn't been an A yet, so I kind of want to go with that Igor Vovchanchin. But Mark Coleman just kind of stands out to me. I don't know. I think we had a B already, but Mark Coleman sounds like the most familiar to me. I know that is probably just because it's the most American sounding, but I'll just go with B.
Open weight Grand Prix champion. Was it A?
It was B. Mark Coleman, and he beat Mark Coleman, and he beat Igor Vovchanchin at that point.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Let's
Why would
go.
you put this in
Well, they're
there?
putting that in because they wanted to do a gimme. They didn't think I would be so
Yeah,
good.
we thought he was
logical.
gonna lose.
All
I'll let you
all right. Let's go to another question.
Yeah, all right.
I can't
Next
believe
question. Who is this?
Oh,
Okay, hopefully he gets this. That's Kevin Durant. I'll be interested to see what he says.
I know it's not LeBron James, and I know it's not Steph
That's
Curry, but I know it's basketball.
Good, yeah.
Yes.
Because of the jersey.
Yeah.
That does narrow it down.
Gives it away.
Wait, hold on a
basketball.
second. Does everyone else know this?
Yes.
No, it's pretty.
Do you know it?
No. I really don't, which is sad.
Well, this is one I can't go by the process of logic and deduction because it's just a face.
Right.
What if we just
It's a good
told them-
face.
What if we just told them the initials? Oh, well, why don't you guess? And then if you're wrong,
No, let's no initials on this
when
one.
you're wrong,
No initials on this one. So what was like?
it
Let's
Michael
give a hint.
B.
Like, what's
Jordan?
So he was drafted by the Seattle SuperSonics.
Yep.
He, I think he
2007.
won the scoring title like 4 times.
Yes.
He won the scoring title 4 times, you said. Yeah, I believe he won in 2010, 11, 12. So that's 3. And then in 14, also his MVP season. So that's 4. I think that's right. Yeah, good job. Pretty sure. Because I think Dwayne Wade did it in 2009 and LeBron in 2008. So maybe scoring champions by year. Yeah, Durant in 14, 12, 11, 10. Yeah, that's 4. Nice. He probably Googled that, but...
Good day. What?
He won the scoring title 4 times. So it's
So he's been
pretty,
in for a while.
Yeah, he's
Played
been
for
doing it
Golden
a while.
State for a little while.
Yeah.
Yes, it's O'Shea Jackson Jr.
He's good.
Is it Chris Bosh?
No, but that is a name.
He's not in the NBA right now.
in basketball. That's
Well,
So
basketball.
that's the answer. Is that your official? Like,
Is that
No, you know what? Just so that people can highlight this and then accuse me, I'll say Kendrick Lamar.
well,
it's Kevin Durant.
Kevin.
Oh, I should Kevin too.
It's
You got
not
the K
Kendrick.
right. Chris Bosh, just so you know, just looks like a velociraptor.
He does,
So
yeah.
just remember that. If you ever
Really
see a
does.
velociraptor, that's playing
I
basketball.
was thinking more like a Gallimimus, but I'll accept Velociraptor.
Wow.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
Question
Next
number
question. Here
3
we
for
go.
5.
All right.
Not too bad.
At UFC 2.
UFC 217, Georges St. Pierre beat Michael Bisping by submission. What submission did he use? I have no idea. If I'm just gonna go with AA because we haven't had an A yet. Rear naked choke.
Pierre beat Michael Bisping by submission.
Beat him by
What
a rear naked
submission-
choke, and I can tell you exactly what
Oh my
happened. He beat him by a rear
goodness.
naked choke, and he actually hit him down, knocked him down with a left hook, and then followed up with a rear naked choke after some ground and pound, and Michael Bisping turned over. He was trying to
Wow.
keep a high guard. Yeah. So I remember that.
I don't think I've got one wrong so far. A couple of them were definitely guesses. The speed one was a guess, but that was a little bit more educated. The UFC ones though were complete guesses.
Never turn over. That's
There's very little about combat sports that I will not get correct.
Right.
All right.
I think none of these
But
should
I
be
can't.
combat
I don't
sports.
know Kevin Durant's face.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that was it. Steven knows
That
all
was
Wow.
that's it.
was
That's
it.
Steven Knows Sports. Hey,
Yeah.
this has been Steven Knows Sports.
Wide open. He scores!
Come on, I have a winning record. What did I get?
The
Did I get-
takeaway is that Steven knows sports.
Yeah. No, the takeaway
No, that's not true.
is that Steven probably has a decent enough IQ where I can, when it's multiple choice.
Watch Good Morning Mug.
That was crazy. I got all of them right. He actually did really well on it too, though. So, but I could tell he was definitely not using his sports knowledge on them, like they said. So, but yeah, that was fun. All right, so some more time has passed. This episode has been taking a long time because I've been trying some new things, like new different content that I was kind of trying out. I spent a lot of time on that I've decided to scrap for now. You're probably not going to be seeing it right now, but I just decided I was kind of wasting my time on it, and it wasn't super basketball related anyways. So, probably just have to work on it separately sometime instead of like, putting in an episode with a bunch of basketball related news and stuff like that, it's better to get out sooner than later. But yeah, just kind of having fun with trying new stuff, trying to find, new ways to have fun doing podcast and video content type stuff, trying to grow in this area, so yeah. So now I've got 2 days worth of games that I need to catch up on watching because I've been nonstop working basically on my full-time job. And then also, this stuff, the video stuff. So yeah, I do need to watch these. I saw, the end of this on Twitter, the Wizards and Nuggets game that we lost 112-110. And on the final play, so I guess this is how we got to 110-112. Jokic hits Porter on the cut to the rim. About a minute left, minute 15. And the score, I guess, stayed this way. So 10 seconds left. Wizards miss their shot to seal it. Yep, and in this fast break, I know that you people that are going to be listening on Spotify won't be able to experience this true pain in its fullness with me. But for some reason, the Nuggets team, just as a whole, decided to only go for a 3, even though we're down by 2, 4 seconds left, plenty of time. It's 4.2 seconds left with Murray at like the Ball Arena logo, like the ribbon area. And we have 4 players across half court right now. And the Wizards have 1 in Bradley Beal. So we should be able to get a basket here. Just in thinking about basketball fundamentals, should be pretty easy right now. Just if you look up ahead right here, it's easy 2-on-1 between Murray and Porter against Bradley Beal. All that has to happen is Porter has to cut to the basket. If Beal follows him, Murray can go to the basket, or like you should be able to get the basket here pretty easily. But yeah, so let's watch what happens. I'm going to go a little slower. So Porter drifts down to the corner. And so now there's 3 Wizards defenders across half court versus the 4 Nuggets offensive players. But all 3 of the defenders are surrounding Jamal Murray. But Jamal Murray has a clear passing lane to any of his 3 teammates right here in Morris, Campazzo, or Porter. But for some reason, all of them are spread out across the 3-point line here. Instead of just going, there's still 3 seconds left. Like right here, just Porter, go to the basket a little bit, bounce pass, like any type of pass right here, tie up the game. Jokic is one of the most clutch players in crunch time, and Murray has been really good in crunch time the last few games. I like the odds of a overtime period against the Wizards right now. So, but apparently, it's go big or go home, because Jamal hit Facu for the 3, which didn't even really come close. And it was a bad pass too. He caught it like right at his feet, right there. Sad. So I don't know why we got to do ourselves like that, but yeah. See, looks like good games from both Murray and Jokic, and Porter even with 18 and 10. Jokic with 24, 11 and 7. Murray with 34, 6 and 6. Like I don't know, man. It was painful. I'm still going to watch the game, though, for everything leading up to that. But yeah, I'll probably watch at least the fourth quarters of all these games, other than maybe Pistons, Pelicans, or Cavs, Rockets. But, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this game earlier when I was looking at these. Shea had 42, 8 and 4. So yeah, SGA coming out party. That's his career high, I believe. And Horford had 16, 7 and 7. Also, another thing I forgot to mention, I remember now, with the Nuggets game the Cavs Nuggets game where Murray scored 50. So that was the first game in which a player has scored 50 with no free throw attempts in NBA history. So Murray's making history. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, though. It's good to get to the free throw line. But yeah, scoring 50 without a free throw attempt is that's pretty wild. First time ever. And apparently he was the second most efficient 50-point night. Also, he was 84% from the field. And the only person who's had a more efficient 50-point night was Wilt Chamberlain. So yeah, pretty nuts. But yeah, I'll check out these other games though. Sixers Mavs should be good. I saw stats from Ben Simmons guarding Luka Doncic. Apparently put the clamps on him. While Pelicans Bucks looks like a good game just from the final score. Wow, Grizzlies rolled the Clippers. Oh, and they had Kawhi and PG. It'll be interesting to watch that. Oh, wow. Tyus Jones with 20 off the bench in 15 minutes. They really spread that thing around with the Grizzlies. But yeah, this will be an interesting game. This will be one of those ones I probably can't watch the end because I won't be able to tell anything. I'll have to go back earlier into the game to see what was going on. But I'm just glad I have League Pass, I guess. But yeah, that should be it for this episode. I'll probably make another one pretty soon. Just basketball focused, probably shorter as well after I check out these games. If there's more storyline stuff that I want to talk about. And I guess in news, I should probably mention also Anthony Davis, he's going to be injured for the All-Star game. So Devin Booker is going to be taking his place. suiting up as an all-star. And same thing on the Eastern side with KD. Domantas Sabonis is taking his place. So that's cool. Both Booker and Sabonis, are deserving of all-star spots. So it's cool to see them getting there, even if it's, from a injury substitution. Booker had the same scenario last year where he replaced Dame, I think it was. And so both of his all-star appearances have been off of injury replacements. I'm sure he wants to get in there before, any injury replacements have been made sometime. And I'm sure he will, but, still very young. I think he's only 23 or 24. So, but yeah, that'll be it for this episode. Please like, subscribe, comment if you feel inclined to do so. Follow the feed on Spotify, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you guys next time.